So we'll move on towards the East, where three championship contenders are trying to move on to this Eastern Conference Finals. The Hawks have had playoff success in the first round against the Knicks, but now they face the top-seeded 76ers. So will the playoff experience of the 76ers or the lack of the Hawks experience impact the series? Jason, I'll start with you.
I'm gonna say no. I think the Hawks may be young, but to be honest, I don't think they play like it. They don't play scared. They don't play nervous. They don't play like they're in two bright lights. And I think that's a very good thing for them in this series. And I think that's going to impact them when playing against the 76ers. They put up a lot of points. They can score. They have Bojan Bogdanovic, Trae Young, obviously. They have some good pieces like Kevin Huerter and Danilo Gallinari off the bench. They have some good bigs like John Collins and Clint Capella. I think that they're tough. They have play with that attitude, like a young, arrogant attitude, and they don't care who they're playing. And especially with no big crowds, which is mainly what playoff experience is for, there's less pressure. And I think that's key because playoff experience has to do with pressure. And the less pressure there is, the less importance there is about playoff experience. So do I think playoff experience will impact the series? No, I don't.
I mean, I would disagree there, Jason, because I feel like the Hawks' inexperience in the playoffs arena is definitely a deciding factor. I mean, the Sixers have been there before. They know what to do. They know what it feels like to lose in the playoffs. Hell, I think I've seen Embiid cry more times than I need to see. I think he cries every year that he loses. But I think that builds character, and I think that builds ambition for him and hunger for him to win. And I think that 76 intensity versus that Hawks inexperience is really what it comes to. And I think I'm taking Sixers all the way in this series. Like you said, Lou Will with the Hawks, I thought he would be able to be more of a deciding factor there, but I'm really not seeing it. Trae Young is a hell of a player, talented player. He has a decent cast with him, but I think Embiid and Simmons, that's a great team right there. That's a duo that has, basically been unstoppable in the Eastern Conference this whole season. So I think, in my opinion, I think the Sixers are going to take it. But I think it's going to be a good series, though. I'm not sure it's going to go to a Game 7. But I think the Sixers could do it. I think that Hawks inexperience is a really big deciding factor.
Yeah, just to be clear, I still think the Sixers are going to win. I just don't think playoff experience will have a huge impact.
Yeah, I agree with Sam here. I think the playoff experience will matter, and it hasn't shown yet. That's because we're in the early stages of the playoffs, meaning like we're only Game 1 and Game 2. But when it comes down to elimination, we'll see the real, where the playoff experience shows. Because the 76ers have been in those situations, even in that situation where Kawhi Leonard hit that crazy game winner in 2019. So 76ers know what it's like to win and to lose. And they have a great head coach now with Doc Rivers. I didn't think that Brett Brown was the guy in Philly last year. But now with Doc Rivers, yeah, he can make adjustments, and what he did in Game 2, putting Shake Milton in the game, and then they won that game in Game 2. With that playoff experience with Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, they know okay, it's time for me to sit down and let the other players take over because it's not my game. And knowing that being under pressure with all, they know what it's like. And for the Hawks, they haven't really been there. Even though they have veterans like Solomon Hill went to the finals last year, Bogdanovic in the Euro League, and Lou Williams, I just feel like the 76ers will pull away and win in maybe 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, so I think we all agree. Hold on. Sorry, let me just finish this point real quick. I think we all agree that the 76ers will win this series, but I think I have the underdog opinion here. But the reason I say no is because the Hawks' goal right now was to split the series on the 76ers court. And I think because they have home court advantage now for the next 2 games, I think they accomplished their goal of making this series tied up instead of being down 2-0. So I don't think the playoff experience matters because the Sixers will beat them anyway. But I do think the Hawks will put up a fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing we're kind of overlooking is the Sixers pick up on Seth Curry earlier this year.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
man is amazing. He shot what 30 points last game, or no, 21 points, I think.
yeah,
And that, he's a great player. He is an amazing lights out shooter. You come bring him off the bench, or you can start him, whatever you would do with him. He's a catch and shooter guy, kind of guy. And I think that addition, to consider the fact that Simmons doesn't shoot any threes to begin with, I think that makes a huge difference. And I think the Sixers are utilizing all their players in a much smarter way than the Hawks are, because you have Tobias Harris, he scored 22. You have Embiid with 40. Their bench outperforming well as well. Compared to the Hawks, I think they're utilizing all their players a lot more, playing much better team ball. Where I think Trae Young is also in a situation like the Mavs with Luka. I think they're expecting him to do a lot, and I don't think he can do everything on that team. And I think it kind of sucks because he's so young, he's talented. But I think, I'm thinking the Sixers are going to take it in maybe 5-6 games.
yeah. One thing's for sure: the Hawks can shoot, and so can the Sixers. But I think the Sixers. I agree with you. The Sixers are definitely going to win this series pretty easily.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the Bucks and Nets series, in which each team has a big three of its own. We have Middleton, Holiday, and Giannis for the Bucks, and Harden, Kyrie, and KD for the Nets. With James Harden's injury in Game 1, 47 seconds into the game, and being ruled out for Games 1, 2, and 3, who do you think will win that series since James Harden's been injured, and how will that injury affect the series? Sam?
I mean, to simply put him in, I don't think it's going to hurt them at all. I think KD and Kyrie, the way they're playing, they can make it to the finals. Hell, they could probably play the entire finals without James Harden, and they can probably win it. Those are two great players. KD has been phenomenal coming back from that injury this season. He has been playing amazing. And he's always been one of probably the best offensive player we've seen in a long time. The way he shoots, the way he drives to the bucket, I think it's very unique, and I think it's something that a lot of players can't stop on defense. And I'm really sad to say that, because I don't want to see the Bucks losing, but I think the Nets are going to take it. Giannis is a beast. He really is. I mean, you mentioned those big threes. I think it's honestly like a ginormous three versus a big three, because the Nets are still packed deep past those three players. So I think it's Giannis, being a beast is great, but the Nets are a pack of beasts, man, with that roster. So I think we can really see the Nets making it to the finals. I don't know. I think with James Harden, it would be, they'd perform even better. But I don't think him not being there for the first 3 games is going to make a big difference on them. Especially defensively, I think they can do great. Offensively, I think, they might lose a couple points, but I think they're going to win it.
Yeah, and sorry I have to say this, but like Charles Barkley said, Nets are sweeping. And like Charles Barkley, guaranteed. Yeah, I think the Nets are going to win this really easily. And Harden's injury isn't going to have an effect, because where are the Bucks? Where's their big three? I think it's obvious that Chris Middleton isn't really a capable number 2 option in the playoffs. And like you said, Kyrie and KD have been balling. KD scored 32, Kyrie scored 22 last game, and they were up by 49. What are you doing being down 49 if you're the Bucks? And I just think like that's going to be the story of this series. The Bucks are going to get swept by the Nets, already being down 2-0. But I wouldn't be surprised if they win Game 3 just because I said it.
I feel bad for my man Giannis, man.
Yeah,
it's the same thing every year.
Yeah,
with this team.
Yeah,
it's sad. It really is sad.
For sure. And like you said, the Nets are deep. They still have Joe Harris. They have Mike James, an undrafted. He's been a really good role player for them. And Blake Griffin is back.
Blake Griffin.
He's back to dunking.
You got DeAndre Jordan too. You can't forget him.
Yeah.
It's a great team, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They have so much talent.
Some of these guys are definitely getting paid in Dogecoin or something. There's no way. There's no way they can pay all these players. But
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, the Bucks just does not run that deep, man. I mean, they got that man Justin Jackson on that team. The Mavericks didn't even want him, and he's on that team. I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be a blowout. But yeah, I don't know. The way Kyrie and KD play, man, those are two unstoppable players to begin with. Individually, they did great things on their own and their own teams.
Now combined,
Yeah,
they're
combined, yeah.
pretty much unbeatable. Even with
it's
a lot of
crazy.
people doubting them without Harden, based on their record, I think they've been doing really good. Harden may be one of the most important players, but they're still good enough to win the finals without him.
Yeah, I think if James Harden was playing on the Rockets still and he got injured, I think he would still be playing in games 2 or 3. But since they have these other two stars in KD and Kyrie, he
They
can
don't need
take.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
they can
Yeah,
honestly rest, yeah.
yeah, he
yeah,
can just
he can be
rest and
fully
like
healthy.
yeah, instead of being like 70 or 80%. And
Yeah,
if like a fact that I saw, like it was kind of crazy, but like the entire Nets team is shooting 50, 40, 90
yeah,
as a team. Like
yeah.
that's
How
like
hard is that to do as a player?
know.
And then as a
And
whole team.
and not just the players, guys, we can't overlook that Steve Nash is their coach.
Yeah,
One of the
really
greatest to
good.
play, and
Yeah,
now he is leading this team. And I
Yeah.
think that is awesome. I mean, I'm not a big fan of how this team was structured because it's just too broken, man. But I do love Nash. I think he's a great player, and I think he can really get this done. Maybe we can see a ring finally on his finger for him with how the Nets may make it to the finals. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the Nets, they're not only like stacked on like by their players, but their coaching staff too. Because they like Mike D'Antoni
and Steve
and
Nash. So many good
Stephen.
players.
They have so many good coaches, players. Like even like you can go all the way to general manager if you wanted to,
Yeah, yeah.
But I
Just
think
a great organization.
Yeah.
But I mean, when we talk about New York, I do want to bring up the Knicks because it is sad. It is that Knicks had a hell of a run this year. They really did. And I was just talking to a guy from New York last week, and he mentioned the Nets can win and New York would be whatever. But if the Knicks won,
it would be crazy.
It would be insane there because they're really the heart of that city. So I mean, it's awesome if the Nets can win, but man, I just had to mention it sucked that the Knicks couldn't come through there. They really had a great run this year, and I was really excited to see how far they would go in the playoffs. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. I think the Nets are going to go all the way really easily, and it's going to be a cakewalk, buck sweep, and we'll see from there.
Yep, we'll see how that series goes, and we all have them sweeping the Bucks, so it'll be very interesting to see.
All right, guys, those are some great topics to talk about. I think we're really excited. I'm really excited for the playoffs. Really excited to watch the finals, especially with the Western Conference, man. But before we finish off today, I really want to ask y'all, man, what do you think about the future of Luka Doncic?
Jeremy, you go ahead.
I mean, this guy is special. Like, he's 22 years old, and he's already in MVP conversations. I think he should have been a finalist this year.
I think he should have at least been considered, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
I think he was only voted 6th in MVP, which is, like, insane. Like, how is he? Like, he's been completely carrying this team this entire season. Like his future is, like, he can win multiple MVPs. And it's just that how the team is constructed around him. Like, Kristaps Porzingis hasn't been the best.
Let's just talk round one stats for him. All right, he played all 7 games. He averaged 35 points per game, and one of the games he was kind of injured. I think he only scored 22 points.
Yeah,
and with that low of a game, he still averaged 35 points, guys.
Yeah,
that is insane. 10 assists a game, almost 8 rebounds a game. That is amazing stats for a kid this young. His second ever playoffs, third year in the NBA.
And he even passed Michael Jordan for average playoffs points per game. Only 2 seasons.
At that age. It's crazy to think about. I think he's going to be, once LeBron goes, I think he's going to be the runner. I think he's going to be the front runner for the best player for the next decade of NBA.
For sure. I think, with international players, you never know. You never saw them in college play, and you never know how they're going to develop over the years. But
I think he developed pretty nice.
Yeah, within the last 3 years, he has done things that are insane. Even from his rookie year to this third year, he has improved significantly, and that is a hard thing to say because
he's already so good.
Started his rookie year amazingly, and you can't forget the fact that this kid's been playing since he was 16 years old. Professionally, he's a great player, and I hope the Mavs can make some real good moves for him because he deserves to win. Because even after the games, he thought it was his fault. He said I should have played better. And I think he's a up and coming player. He's gonna be a great leader. He has really great chemistry with all the players on the Mavs. He's just having fun out there, man. It's honestly inspiring to watch him play basketball because a lot of us when we play, we get really competitive and we kind of forget why we play. But when you watch Luka play, he's just smiling. He's having a great time, and I think it's very unique. You don't see that kind of players a lot more in the NBA. A lot of players are starting to be more hostile, take it to social media, talk crap on Twitter and Instagram, whatever it is. But this kid, I'm gonna say kid because I'm older than him, right? I'm a year older than him. I'm gonna say kid. This kid is having fun. He's just going out there and trying his best, and I think I'm so excited for his future. I'm so excited for what he's gonna do, and I'm just hoping the Mavs can just do something for him to just one player would make a huge difference.
I think he's going to be a great player, and I think he's going to be the face of the NBA very, very soon.
Yep. The Mavs have to make some offseason changes too for this guy. Like deep in the playoffs, he would be amazing to watch.
Who I really wanted before the free agency was Bradley Beal. I think Bradley Beal would have been a huge addition to the Mavericks team. He's a veteran with great experience, great ball handler. I think him and Luka together, I think they would have done a great job. I'm not sure if Beal's so much focused on being a star and being, recognized like that. I think he wants to win. I think he has an intention. So I thought he would have been a great addition. But, DC had to sign him for no reason. I don't know where they're going.
But the Wizards are looking to trade for Kristaps Porzingis. Not saying Bradley Beal is on the table. But,
I don't know. Once Kristaps, you can take it. You can give us a Dogecoin or two, maybe. I don't care. Just take him.
I think the future for the Mavs is very exciting as long as they do the right things around Luka Doncic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.